Why are we talking about Terence's case again today? You might wonder, with thousands of cases in the justice system, what makes this one so different? Well, it's not just about Terence, it's about the core principle of fair, unbiased justice. When the very system designed to protect us falters, it shakes our community to its foundation. Imagine a community, watching as the promise of due process, the right to a fair trial, the right to defend yourself seems to slip away. That's why this case matters. Now, you might be thinking, isn't the justice system supposed to get things right the first time? Absolutely, but our history is full of wrongful convictions and overlooked evidence. When justice falters even once, it threatens all of us. We're here to break down the timeline, the outrage, and the activism that's turned Terence's case into a rallying cry for reform. So, as we dive in, ask yourself, if this were your brother, friend, or neighbor, how far would you go for a fair trial? Let's begin with a groundswell of public support that's demanding the system answer for itself. Over 5,000 people have signed a petition demanding a review of Terence's case. That's not just a number, it's an example of public mobilization, a term sociologists use to describe mass collective action. When more than 1,000 people rally, it creates a legitimacy crisis for authorities. Now, you might ask, does a petition really matter? According to studies from the Pew Research Center, once public pressure hits a certain threshold, especially over 1,000 signaturists, can directly sway prosecutorial decisions and judicial reviews. Let's play out a scenario. Imagine you're part of a system used to quiet complaints, but suddenly, 5,000 people demand a second look. That's a force that's hard to ignore. The problem? Despite this groundswell, the justice system hasn't budged. Terence's original sentence stands, but the resolution is in progress, the petition keeps growing, and pressure keeps mounting. Every name on that petition is a reminder. The fight for justice isn't over until it's truly served. Now, let's get into the legal weeds. Terence's lawyer never filed a self-defense motion, a procedural omission, which in legal circles means skipping a fundamental step. Think of it like entering a chess match but never moving your queen. Why would a defense attorney overlook something so crucial? In Georgia, stand your ground laws are designed to protect those who act to defend themselves or others. Not invoking that defense is like leaving your strongest card in your pocket. Here's the problem. Without this argument, the jury couldn't consider whether Terence's actions were legally justified. The result? A life sentence, even though others in similar situations have walked free. Imagine sitting in court, knowing you protected your brother, and your own lawyer never mentioned self-defense. That's not just a missed opportunity, it's a breakdown in advocacy. The resolution the community wants? A new trial where self-defense is actually on the table, because justice demands every angle be heard. Let's talk about the echo chamber sometimes. Silence speaks louder than words. Local outlets like WJBF6 have, according to many, stayed quiet about the 5,000-strong petition. This is what media scholars call agenda setting, deciding which stories get attention and which stay in the shadows. Now, you may be thinking, isn't local news supposed to cover what matters to the community? Usually, yes. But when the story challenges the status quo, we see gatekeeping at work, filtering out uncomfortable narratives. When major community events go unreported, it creates a feedback loop. People feel ignored, powerless, and public trust in the media erodes. Imagine 5,000 people outside City Hall. Would anyone notice? Of course, but online petitions can be easy to ignore unless we amplify them. The resolution? That's where you come in. Sharing this story and demanding coverage breaks the silence. Media attention is leverage, and with enough noise, even the quietest newsroom has to listen. Here's the elephant in the room. Why did Terence get a life sentence for what many see as self-defense? This is called sentencing disparities situation, where similar cases get vastly different outcomes. It's like two people running the same race, but only one faces hurdles. Is this just a one-off, or part of a bigger pattern? Data from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation shows wide variations in sentences for self-defense claims, especially from county to county. The conflict is obvious. When the law isn't applied equally, it undermines faith in the system. Imagine being Terence, watching others walk free for similar actions while you face life in prison. You might ask, isn't there supposed to be a standard? In theory, yes, but in reality, local politics and attorney skill can tip the scales. That's why the community is calling for review to reconcile these disparities and restore fairness to the process. Community support for Terence isn't just about numbers on a petition. Veterans, civic leaders, and ordinary citizens are rallying together a process known in advocacy as coalition building. When diverse groups unite for a common cause, their collective power multiplies. Now, you might be thinking, why do veterans care so much about this? One combat veteran said, "I fought for the right to self-defense. I'll stand with Terence because he did what anyone would to protect their family. That's the power of shared values." Here's the conflict. The more the system ignores these voices, the stronger the coalition becomes. It's not just about one man anymore, it's about protecting rights for everyone. Picture a town hall meeting, voices from all walks of life demanding change. That's what's happening, even if the cameras aren't rolling. The united front puts pressure on those in power, making it harder to dismiss the call for justice. Let's dig deeper into the trial. When a lawyer fails to present a crucial defense like self-defense, it's more than just a technical hiccup. In legal terms, that's ineffective assistance of counsel, a leading cause for appeals nationwide. You might wonder, can one oversight really decide someone's fate? The National Registry of Exoneration says yes, almost 25% of overturned convictions involve inadequate defense. That's 1 in 4. Without proper representation, a trial isn't truly fair. It becomes a rubber stamp, robbing defendants of their constitutional rights. According to court documents, there was no motion for self-defense or immunity under stand your ground filed in this case. Imagine being Terence, hearing you get a life sentence knowing your side was never fully told. That's not just a legal failure, it's a moral one. This is why appeals and public scrutiny matter. When the system fails once, the fight moves to higher courts and into the court of public opinion. So what happens next? The petition is gaining steam, and voices for Terence are growing louder. In the world of advocacy, this is called escalation, when action shifts from quiet pleas to undeniable demands. You might be asking, what can I do to help? This is the moment where your actions matter. Signing the petition, sharing Terence's story, and talking about the case with your network turns awareness into what experts call social amplification. It's easy to feel like nothing will change, but history shows that persistent, even ignored voices eventually break through. Let me give you an example. Social amplification isn't just a buzzword, it's the process where a message spreads through multiple channels and forces even the highest authorities to respond. Justice isn't automatic. It's something we have to demand, over and over, until it's delivered. Before we wrap up, let's talk about transparency. You've heard me mention the media's coverage or lack thereof of Terence's case. Not every claim can be independently verified. In journalism, we call this source validation, the process of confirming information before sharing it. Now, you might ask, why mention reports that aren't fully verified? Because transparency builds trust. It's crucial to distinguish between first-hand reporting, hearsay, and opinion. The battle for justice is clouded by rumors and half-truths. If we don't check our facts, we risk undermining our own credibility. So, I encourage you, check the news directly, ask questions, and hold all parties accountable, including this podcast. By holding ourselves to high standards, we strengthen our cause. Justice thrives in the light, not the shadows. Let me leave you with this. Justice isn't an automatic process, it's a collective demand. Terence's case is a test for all of us, a measure of whether we'll stand up for a fair system or let silence win. If you've ever wondered whether your voice matters, remember the theory of civic engagement. When individuals act together, they create real change. 5,000 signatures started with just one. Here's the conflict. The system is slow to change, but history is made by those who keep pushing, even when it seems hopeless. So, share this podcast, sign the petition, and remind your networks that justice isn't just an idea, it's a demand we make together. Together, let's ensure this story isn't forgotten, and that Terence and everyone like him gets the fair trial they deserve.